Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Sports Tech Allstars podcast. I'm still here live in Riyadh for the Esports World Cup and, of course, the new Global Sports Conference. And I have with me to talk about what's happening in the world of esports here in Saudi Arabia. Who better than Mike Milanov is? He is the chairman of the Qiddiya Gaming, well, everything really. Mike, welcome to the show. Tell us about Qiddiya and what you plan to do there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so chairman of gaming and esports at Qiddiya. So I guess the program or the plans for gaming and esports is the
Fantastic.
best way to explain it. Qiddiya is the a giga project in Saudi,
Yeah.
and we will be the place, the destination city for all things sports, entertainment, gaming, arts, and culture. And those aren't buzzwords. So what
I
that
know.
actually means is that any investment by PIF or the Sovereign Wealth Fund in those categories needs a giga project in order to materialize, in order to actually make those Saudi plans come true, the kingdom's plans come true in those categories. And so Qiddiya will be that giga project for those five genres of investments or ventures or business or programs for the KSA people.
Giga project is a term that I've just been introduced to. Let's say, I mean, or at least in the last couple of years, the moment the Saudis come in, they think in big scale. Correct me if I'm wrong. So everything that I've gathered about Qiddiya is that there will be, on the sports side, there will be an F1 track, there will be a football stadium, there will be, and on the entertainment side, there's a couple of theme parks planned, and there's a whole district or city, neighborhood, whatever you want to call it, for gaming and
Yeah,
esports.
it used to be just a neighborhood, and then we started calling it a precinct because we grew it, and then now it's a district. So
Okay.
now it's like 700,000 square
Oh,
meters
wow.
of gaming and esports district, which means that anything across core and supporting assets, as we call them, like retail, hospitality, public domain, residential dining and entertainment, all of that together is the gaming and esports district, but we're kind of approaching it as an IRL gaming city where it's not a theme park, it's not an attraction. You don't have to pay a ticket to enter, so you could live there, you could go to work there, you could go shop, you could dwell, you could go out with your friends, you could drop your kids off. And everybody from the industry should be involved in making that gaming and esports district successful. So it's not only focused on the core enthusiast esports fan wanting to go to a sold out arena event,
Sure.
but it's also focused on the casual gamer or somebody that only likes gaming one time per week or maybe doesn't enjoy the competitive games or the competitive side. And that's kind of the difference between for the audience, right? So that's the difference between gaming and esports. That's why we say both words together.
Mm-hmm.
When we say gaming, we're talking about from the global population, 3.4 billion people are gamers or consider themselves gamers. That's like a little bit under half, I
Yeah,
believe.
there you go.
And from that, about 30% are core enthusiast esports viewers. So it's kind of the difference between somebody not minding to play some baseball versus actually watching
Being
MLB.
an active
Yeah.
active fan. Yeah,
And
even
so
but
about 970 million esports viewers, esports enthusiasts. Our offering is not focusing on them. That would be too niche for us as a Giga project. We're focusing on the global gaming community. So, gaming consumption is different all around the globe. If you look at China versus Brazil versus North America, even versus the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, there's different games on different
sure.
platforms that are popular, and also different esports titles and competitive leagues that are popular.
And so you're talking about this experience, but this is a place for people to live,
Yeah.
right?
So
So
Qiddiya as a whole will have 600,000 residents.
right.
In the gaming and esports district, we have residential towers, we have gaming hotels. So it's not just a place with hours of operations, it's actually a part of the city that is always on. So then the way you traverse through it is you could choose to be fully immersed in IP, or you could choose to live there, respite areas, or just like you would find in any other city, like Singapore or Sydney or London. There are kind of those very active hotspots, or there are kind of the more premium hotels, or the more casual restaurants, or the more premium hangout, like kind of crazy areas.
So I guess that's my follow-up question. So it's an area to live, but so part of it, it's not just for people who work in esports, right? So it's not just esports athletes or people who work for gaming properties and such, but as you said, the fans as well. So I could have a day job doing whatever it is and choose to live in Qiddiya because I enjoy gaming so much. Is that kind of
Yeah.
the sell?
Yeah, I mean, Qiddiya is 20 minutes away from Riyadh. If you work in Southwest Riyadh and you are the biggest League of Legends fan, I'm just making it up, or
Right.
Counter-Strike, like maybe you want to be immersed in that gaming district. Like maybe that's your vibe, you know? Or maybe you want to live there between 20 and 40 and then you retire somewhere else in a suburb of Qiddiya, or where kind of the more premium HOA real estate is on the outskirts of the city. But that's what it could be. So Ralph from Esports World Cup always jokes around and he says, "When can I make a down payment
I was just going to ask, so
on
what
the
is the
penthouse?"
timeline? What is the timeline
He's
we're
like,
talking about?
can I have a contract? When can I make a down payment
Right.
on the penthouse in the Cyberpunk Tower? Because
Right.
that's
Okay.
his favorite penthouse,
Okay.
which is, by the way, me too.
Okay.
But I think there will only be 12 of them.
Okay.
So very limited edition
Pretty
inventory
elite. Yeah.
there. Yes.
Okay. Again, I was talking to somebody there's a small little stall at the expo which is for Qiddiya, and
Yeah.
there are four themes,
Yeah.
and there are four worlds that you're creating.
Yeah.
So each one, I guess the cyberpunk is one of them.
Yeah.
So each one, like different types of fans can also find their audience. I want to take a step back, Mike, and why did you get so involved in this project? What attracted you to it? I know you come from, because your own background is quite interesting. You've obviously been a professional gamer yourself. Um, Spent time being a team operator
Yeah.
with Team Liquid,
Yeah.
and now in this role.
Yeah, I could tell the story.
Yeah,
So, I started on the professional gaming side, and then I did some stuff in media for a broadcasting platform, and then I joined the team. So when I joined Team Liquid, we were really a startup that needed to hyper grow, and what I did at Liquid is I really fleshed out some of the business units around esports and really monetized the organization. And I think that was a great skill set that I had and I developed while I was there in order to, because I kind of used those skills now, right, in my role at Qiddiya. But yeah, being on the team side, I mean, we are essentially the Real Madrid of esports as Team Liquid, and growing that org is quite different. An esports team is quite different than a sports team. You're not tied to a city or the city's brand, or you're not operating a stadium or selling tickets. You're very global. So you have 16 different teams in 16 different esports, all named Team Liquid with different audience acquisition strategies. You're not actually tied to a city. It's very global all the time. And I ended up resigning, or just kind of ending my journey at Team Liquid last year in April. And Qiddiya called me in May, and they said, "Hey, like we need some help with gaming and esports." And I said, "What is Qiddiya? And I've never been to Saudi. Like, can I please go to Saudi? Like, I'm really interested to check it out." I had never gone anywhere. I hadn't
Right.
gone to UAE. I hadn't gone to like Egypt. I hadn't gone to Saudi. Like nowhere in the Middle East. And so then after I went in the middle of last year, I really loved the culture of Qiddiya. Qiddiya is very fast moving, very innovative, very creative, very entrepreneurial. It's kind of like almost ran as a startup, but it's a behemoth. And that really creates operational velocity and efficiency.
Mike, let's talk a little bit about, let's say, on the innovation side. As I mentioned in our brief chat before, that we talk a lot to startups. That's a big part of our audience. How do you engage with service providers? How do you engage with those kind of properties that maybe can add a little bit to that experience that you're trying to deliver?
Yeah, a lot of people are too early. So
Right, fair.
when they try to pitch, like, for example, "Hey, we heard you're doing this state-of-the-art arena. We would love to pitch, like, we are a white label LED provider. We're a startup for 4D sound." It could be anything
yeah.
in the tech space, or like a way to do projections or holograms or whatever the case may be, bendable screens. We are interested in having literally any and all of those conversations, but sometimes it's a little bit too early for us to have
Sure.
anything for you to do. Like if you're a startup, you're a tech startup, you're super interested in Giga projects and you want to get involved, you think we're kind of a good potential customer, that is true, but it needs to be at the right time. But we're okay to take the calls early. But everything at Qiddiya has a lore, narrative, and an IP layer, and it has to be on the bleeding edge of technology. So we can't just like copy paste what exists today because we're building for the future. Um, and so if there's really cool companies out there that are kind of working on something really cool for that's maybe they're in stealth right now or maybe they have a patent or they have a really cool piece of tech that they're unveiling in a couple of years, like that is the sweet spot for us. Like we would love to maybe even consider co-investment in those situations.
Makes a lot of sense. I actually was speaking to a startup just yesterday, Christoph and team, who I believe you're doing some work with already. I can't take too many names, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, sounds interesting. So we know that you're open and that you're
Definitely
interested.
open. If you
Right.
think about the 400 gaming assets that we need to build, they all need industry partners like IP, event, content, and they need strategic operators. They need marketing partners, and they need technology partners in order to work.
To make that work. Fantastic. All right. So the vision is there and it's big and it's grand. We don't have a time. I mean, sure, we have a timeline yet. I know the big vision is 2030, but is there anything tangible now in the next 12, 18 months? Is there something that we can see or expect in terms of, I don't know, soft launches, more news, little snippets, little tidbits that'll be
Yeah.
out soon?
Yeah, I can give you a snippet.
All right.
So
All right. Let's hear
it's
it.
not for gaming specifically, but people always ask me like, when's the opening ceremony for the city? And I'm like, there's never going to be an opening ceremony for the city because there are so many districts, so many assets. And so I think you'll see assets starting to open, to your point, in the next 12 to 18 months. And they may be in different districts. We may be trying things out. They may be in a preview or a soft launch or in gaming or out of gaming. But I always answer this way. I'm working on things for 2025, 2026, and I'm working on things for 2046.
Okay.
So there's kind of a broad range of development and R&D and ambitions for what should open when, and we call that like the phasing plan. We want to make sure the phasing plan allows people into the city, even if it's an active construction site while they're there, which is kind of, we have a team that only works on that, which is its own challenge because you don't want to open something up and then it's kind of uncomfortable to be there.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So there's stuff that we can expect in the near horizon.
Yeah.
Mike, absolute pleasure. Thanks for taking the time. If there's somebody who wants to reach out to you, what's a good way to do that? LinkedIn? You want to share your email?
Definitely don't want to share my email because it would just be rude of me to do so
enough, yeah.
if you have the numbers that you said you have. So yeah, LinkedIn is cool. You can follow or connect there. And then there's different people on my team that are a good contact. Our PR agencies are a great way to start too. So we work with Consulum and StoryMob and a few others. So that's the best way to reach out. And thank you so much for having me.
No worries at all. Appreciate you taking the time, Mike. Before I let you go, I have to ask you my last question, which is always my favorite one to end the podcast on. I usually ask what has been your favorite sporting moment, but I'm going to ask you what has been your favorite esporting moment, something from your time either as an athlete or as a fan of the space that always stands out in your memory.
My favorite esports moment is the MLG Columbus Counter-Strike Major, where Team Liquid, for the first time as a North American organization in Counter-Strike, made it to the quarterfinals for the first time ever.
Which year is this?
This is a long time ago. I think this is like 2017, if I'm not mistaken. And those matches and that crowd was so explosive. I think there was like 15,000 people there. And we ended up not making it to semis or I think we were in semis. I actually don't remember, but either semis or quarters, we got taken down by Luminosity, and it was like the most explosive, adrenaline, fanaticism-filled moment for me. But otherwise, I have a bunch like that across many of the games, like trophy lifts or clutches, as we call them, or certain outplay situations where esports athletes like display their mechanical skill. That's why it's so fun to watch. You don't even need to understand it to know when something big happens.
If you're a fan of sport, you understand the storytelling, you understand the emotion of
That's
the moment.
right.
It'll translate.
The nail biting, the
Right,
fanaticisms, the aspirational stories, the stories around the players. the stories around the clubs. It's very, the rivalry between the players and the clubs. It's all there as well.
Fantastic. And the story of Qiddiya is one that we will look forward to hearing more about. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thank you so much.
All right. That is a wrap for another episode. We'll drop lots of links to help you learn about Qiddiya and maybe get in touch with Mike through LinkedIn, as he mentioned. More to come from this series. Cheers.